It's time for Real Talk with Brian and Dan, the weekly talk radio show dedicated to discussing important real estate topics, plus insight into the local community. With a combined experience of over 50 years as local real estate brokers from the East Side Real Estate team at Keller Williams Realty Bellevue. Here's your hosts, Brian Levitt and Dan Edwards.
Well, good afternoon, Brian. Look at this fantastic summer day.
Yep. Very high humidity. We see it falling down from the sky.
Heck? Yeah, Eric's weather report was a little dismal. I guess it's going to be raining tonight, huh? All right. Well, welcome to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW. It's Wednesday, July 17th. Thank you for joining. Thanks for listening today. Now, if you'd like to listen to any of our past episodes, you can always find them anywhere podcasts are casted. I don't know if that's the proper term.
Yep.
But it's going to be a doggone good show today, Brian. You know why?
Tell me.
Well, we have two fantastic guests, John Knuth with DogSmart and Amy Jean with House and Hound. But before we get to our guests, let's start with some real talk.
Okay, last week we talked about how having a professional on your side can make all the difference. Today we're going to talk about why, from a financial standpoint, owning a home is always better than renting one. In a recent research paper, Homeownership and the American Dream, Laurie S. Goodman and Christopher Mayer of the Urban Land Institute explained, homeownership appears to help borrowers accumulate housing and non-housing wealth in a variety of ways, with tax advantages, greater financial flexibility due to secured borrowing, built-in default savings with mortgage amortization and nominally fixed payments, and the potential to lower home maintenance costs through sweat equity.
So, Brian, we were talking before the show, as you look about the things that were outlined there, that's pretty meaty, right? We can go one by one. But let's first off, tell me, when you finally decided to stop renting and purchasing, how many eons ago was that?
A lot. I was 22 years old, and my roommate was a young aspiring realtor, and I was a deputy sheriff. And at that point, I think he wanted to be a deputy sheriff, and I thought, hey, that realtor thing looks pretty good. So I bought a house, and it was a cosmetic fixer, just a little.
Where was this?
It was in Stockton, California.
Okay.
I was a deputy sheriff with San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office, and bought this house, little sweat equity, paint, carpet, and a couple dumpster loads of trash. But cleaned it up, painted it up, and I remember sitting on the couch the day I moved in, thinking, $174 a month. What on earth was I thinking? How am I going to survive? So times have changed a little bit. But I think the good thing for me was that was a foothold into wealth accumulation. I sold that a few months later, made a tidy tidy is a relative term. I made about $5,000 on a $28,000 house.
Back then, you could buy a loaf of bread for a quarter, right?
Yeah, gallon of gas for a quarter, yeah.
But $5,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah. And I reinvested. I did it again, and that really led to the career in real estate started as a flipper.
So that's the funny thing, as you look at the study that we quoted earlier, it's borrowers accumulating not only housing but non-housing wealth.
Right.
So I mean, that was the instance. Is you had to live somewhere, right? So you were paying rent to somebody. That's my guess.
Yeah.
So now you're just ending up in a situation where at the end of you sold it in a year.
Less than a year.
Yeah. and made some money and then parlayed that into another house.
Yep. And did that again and made more the next time and just used that as stepping stones. It's interesting. I had an interesting conversation with my oldest son, who's very analytical, really smart guy, and his question was, "Am I better off putting money, into a stock fund or buying a house?" And he's doing the analytics, and I'm thinking, yes, you should put it in stocks if you can make the right pick.
Yeah.
For example, Amazon before it launched,
yeah.
You'd make more if you put your down payment into that than into a house. But a home also becomes, in essence, a forced savings plan,
right? Because
you're going to pay, you're either going to pay rent or mortgage. So for most people, they're going to have more luck buying a house than with that stock pick.
Yeah, according to this, a built-in default savings plan with a mortgage.
Right.
The funny thing is people don't realize that paying a mortgage payment, especially the first couple of years, there's a lot of interest going in there, right? Which is a deduction, in that regards. But then you also pay a thing called principal.
Right.
Principal is another word for savings.
It is.
Right? Because you're actually paying money to yourself to sit in the house.
Yep.
So one of the things that homeownership allows households is the ability to amplify their appreciation in their home values by a factor of, maybe 20%. So how this works is when you go to buy a house, you're not actually putting $500,000 down. You're putting 20% of that.
Right.
But your appreciation is on the $500,000.
It's on 100% of value,
Yeah.
not on the down payment that you put in. That's one of the secrets of leveraging a home. And I'm a guy who's, I really don't like debt. I coach my clients on eliminating debt.
Mm-hmm.
But home ownership, you're going to typically far outweigh the disadvantage of the debt by the appreciation and by the satisfaction of ownership.
So, ask me about my first house.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So I actually had an opportunity to buy a house in downtown Seattle, 85th and Roosevelt. So that's in Maple Leaf neighborhood. And I was living there in this house paying $235.50 a month with three other roommates. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
what did I do?
Yeah. And so I had an opportunity to buy that house for $220. I did not. I passed on it. I chickened out. Partly because my wife was like, no way in heck am I going to live there with your three other roommates. So if I wanted to marry this woman, I was going to have to buy something for real. But I did end up stretching, right?
Sure.
What I did was for the 6 months leading up to us actually finding and buying that house, I pretended like I had a mortgage already.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So instead of just, paying that $237.50, I was actually paying $2,500 a month into a savings account.
Smart.
That way, when I finally had that down payment saved, I was already used to paying that monthly mortgage amount. So it made it a little, it still feels the same way. And I know there are first-time home buyers out there that as they've just finished the transaction or they're considering it, they're trying to wrap their head around their new mortgage payment and what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
And so there is an adjustment period. It takes some time.
Yeah. And, a lot of people, we talked about payment shock, but one of the things I explain to people is you have a significant tax advantage. So buy a home, give yourself a raise. Most people are finding that going from a situation of not owning a home to owning a home, you can decrease your withholding and thereby increase your cash flow.
Brian Levitt is not a CPA. Please check with your CPA.
Please check with your tax advisor.
No. But of course, when you look at that W-4, when you fill it out, one of the things on there is a deduction, and a home is considered a deduction for tax purposes.
Right.
But anybody should always consult their tax attorney about how to do that.
So something else people don't realize is that you're paying for housing whether you own or rent. So you're either paying your own mortgage or somebody else's. Some people argue that renting eliminates the cost of property taxes and home repairs. No, you're paying it.
Yeah.
That's always going to be included in the rent that you're paying. Every potential renter must realize that all the expenses landlord incurs, property taxes, repairs, insurance, etc., are baked right into the rent payment already, along with the profit margin.
Yeah. So when you're coaching an investor that's going to buy an investment property, are you saying, "Oh no, don't worry about these repairs, don't worry about the taxes, don't worry about that"?
Right.
No, you need profit
need
on
to
top of
think
that.
about all
So
of it. Right.
so they're not only are they actually paying those things, they're also paying margin.
Right.
For profit.
Yeah, and you look at how rents are skyrocketing. One thing about ownership is you've got a lot more control over that, in that the only thing that typically increases, if you have a fixed rate mortgage, your taxes typically go up some, insurance might, but it's so much less typically than you'd see in the rising rents that we're watching here in our marketplace.
Yeah, and there are different strategies. We're going to have a mortgage moment, so we'll talk to Michael,
Sure.
our lender, about how that looks as far as from a mortgage standpoint. But I got to tell you, rates are really, really good
great.
right now. So
Yep.
I can't urge folks enough to find out. Right,
Yeah.
renting may be right for them right now, but
Right.
chances are, in the current environment that we're seeing, it would behoove you to find out the facts
Exactly.
and determine it.
Everybody's situation is different, but over the years, one of the things I've seen is I'll have some clients, some buyers that say, we're going to hold off for now. We want to save a bigger down payment. What I've seen time and time again is people can't outpace the market by trying to save a larger down payment. With appreciation, and like right now, rates are so low that a person typically trying to save that bigger down payment is going to be outpaced by appreciation and the threat of rising interest rates.
Yeah, it says right here that homeowners that actually own have a 44 times greater net worth than that of a renter. So it's estimated that a family buying an average priced home, this is across the United States, maybe not here in the Northwest, but an average priced home across the U.S. This past January could build more than $42,000 in net wealth over the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
House values, rents, they're going to go up. Inflation will probably go up, and interest rates at some point are probably going to go up. So when you choose to purchase a home, you're locking your purchase price in time, and you're locking the price of money in time.
So, kind of wrapping this talk up, I've been selling real estate way too long. I'm 36 plus years in, and I'm really blessed to have done so very well. But the majority of my wealth is in the real estate that I own, not the commissions I've made. I mean, I look at my net worth, and really it's the real estate that I own that's really carried the ball. And again, I've done great in terms of the real estate sales, but that's not where the wealth was built.
Yeah, so if there's listeners out there that already own a home and they're looking at figuring out a way to kind of take that notch up a little bit more, Brian and I would be happy to talk to you about investing.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, well, that includes our Real Talk segment. Like I said, after the break, we're going to have our mortgage moment. We're going to have Michael Burdick coming back with us and two fantastic guests. So come on back after this short commercial break.
Not sure if now is the right time to sell? Worried you missed the market? The Eastside Real Estate Team specializes in helping homeowners maximize their equity when selling. With our proven premier listing service, our clients have sold their homes for more money in less time than the competition. We know you have many choices when working with a real estate agent, but with the Eastside Real Estate Team, you get a team of highly qualified, experienced agents. From staging to deciding if your property is market ready for top dollar. If you're considering selling, call the Eastside Real Estate Team at 425-200-4093. Or check out our website at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Are your dog's behaviors not quite what you'd like them to be? You're not alone. DogSmart is committed to helping families just like yours learn ways to communicate with your dog so that both ends of the leash are working as one. They've helped countless families on Seattle's East Side and beyond. Don't waste another moment. Reach out today. To learn more about how DogSmart can help or to schedule a time to meet, visit their website at dogsmartseattle.com or call 1-833-DOGSMART today.
Seattle, Tacoma, Antwerp? That's right. We're streamed worldwide on our app and on the web at 1150kknw.com.
Welcome back to the show. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan. And hey, Mom, because I know you're listening over in Eastern Washington. Today, we bring you the Mortgage Moment segment, and we're bringing it back the last couple of weeks. You guys are all wondering what the heck is going on with rates and with the mortgage market. Well, during this segment, we like to get a quick update on the lending side of the home buying process. Today, we're talking to Michael Burdick from Loan Depot. Michael is a loan consultant with Loan Depot and has spent the last 10 years serving clients all around the East Side and Greater Seattle at a very, very high level. Welcome back to the show, Michael.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me again.
Michael, how have you been? How's business?
It's been good. You know, we have seen, just like we've talked about for the last month or so, that interest rates have been very good. So it's always a good time to reach out to your mortgage consultant and just do a review with them. Had some lucky clients that locked a couple of weeks ago that got some rates that I haven't seen for years. They've since adjusted a little bit, but overall are still very good interest rates right now.
I mean, essentially that means your dollar goes farther, right?
That's a big part of it. And then also, you know, reviewing your current loan. You know, some people have higher rates and maybe they have high interest credit card debt that we can just overall get their total financial picture and a better overall payment. So that's a big part of it too.
Now, we recently talked about a type of approval that you, through Loan Depot, offer called Day One Certainty. What is that?
Good question. So we have talked about this, and Day One Certainty it's not a Loan Depot product. It's a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac approved product that lenders can get approved to offer. And this is something that we were one of the early adapters getting. And basically, when I get an application or somebody completes it online, it will verify their employment, verify their income, and then they can also allow us to verify their bank account information with their balances and things like that. So really it helps eliminate the amount of documentation they have to provide. But something that really makes it cool about Loan Depot is what we've put into our application. And I run the Day One Certainty, and it does a full review of the two investors of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and then shows me which results are better so I know which way to invest that loan. And ultimately, it can get me income verified, assets verified, and an appraisal waiver. So it's basically a cleared to close loan right there on the spot.
Day one.
Awesome.
Day one. Michael, why is that important?
Well, it helps streamline the process because, when people are making an offer on a house, sometimes they want to get that approval quickly, and they'll complete the application. And if you go to an older bank or credit union that doesn't have the technology that we have, they're going to say, okay, thanks for completing the application. Here's the list of documents I need. Some people have a lot going on because they're busy at work, and they'll take weeks to get that information because their tax returns are stored away in their attic or we hear every excuse there is. But for me to come back quickly and tell someone that we don't need anything from them, literally, then, they're usually pretty happy to hear that.
That's awesome. So I also heard a big change and competitive advantage for Loan Depot that you've started is called Straight to Underwriting. We got about a minute. Tell us what that's about and why it will benefit the borrower.
Yeah, so this is something that we started doing really a couple months ago, and we were one of the pilot branches or our area for the country. And typically when a mortgage company gets an application and they get the documents and then they submit it to their underwriting department, it goes through a number of steps, and it goes through disclosures, it goes through a processing department that scrubs the file, and then it goes to underwriting. So each one of those steps has turn times. But what we've done is we're now disclosing on our side as the originator, and then as long as we have a complete file, it's going to go straight to our underwriter. So we're eliminating the processing turn time. And what that does is it allows us to get, approvals much quicker than what our competitors are doing right now. So
Michael,
it's
been
been awesome.
Yeah, great information. Hey, how do our listeners get a hold of you?
Google Michael Burdick Loan Depot out of Bellevue.
Google.
Best number for me. Yep, Google 206-661-2289.
Sweet. Excellent. After our break, we will be visiting two great local businesses that the dog owner listeners will enjoy. First up will be John Knuth, a dog trainer and owner of DogSmart LLC. Join us right after the break.
Did you know when you pay rent, you're actually paying someone else's mortgage? Are you tired of missing out on owning your own home? Fact: homeowners on average have 40 times the financial net worth of renters. The Eastside Real Estate Team has been helping many first-time homebuyers find and buy their first home. They specialize in customer service and put you first. They listen first to what you're looking for, and then they take the time to make sure their clients understand every aspect of the home buying process. If owning a home has been your dream, the Eastside Real Estate Team can help you. For a free, no-hassle consultation, call 425-200-4093 or find them online at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Are your dog's behaviors not quite what you'd like them to be? You're not alone. DogSmart is committed to helping families just like yours learn ways to communicate with your dog so that both ends of the leash are working as one. They've helped countless families on Seattle's East Side and beyond. Don't waste another moment. Reach out today. To learn more about how DogSmart can help or to schedule a time to meet, visit their website at dogsmartseattle.com or call 1-833-DOGSMART today.
Wondering what's on next on Alternative Talk 1150? Check out 1150kknw.com.
Well, welcome back. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan. Lisa, I hope you have Taco and Nacho listening because we have a fantastic specialist coming up. Now, just for the listeners out there, Taco and Nacho are my two dogs. We've got a Border Collie Lab mix and a Border Collie Lab Great Dane mix. They are fantastic, so I hope they're listening because we're going to have a lot of good information for them, and there's going to be a test later, you two. Okay, so John is a professional dog trainer and owner at DogSmart LLC, located right here on the east side in Issaquah, Washington. After a successful and rewarding career in corporate America, John decided to put all of his energy into pursuing what had become his true passion in life, helping families live a most fulfilling life as possible with their dogs. Whether it's an 8-week-old puppy or an adult rescue dog, John believes that a relationship built upon trust and two-way communication makes things possible when it comes to training our dogs. He accomplishes this by offering both puppy socialization classes and private in-home training. John, welcome to our show.
Thanks for having me. Excited to talk.
John, it sounds like you have a lot going on. So how do you have time for hobbies and interests, and what are they? What do you do when you're not doing the dog thing?
Well, first off, that's been one of the most rewarding experiences about starting my own business, is that it's merged my hobbies and interests really into what I'm doing. So, I used to talk a lot about work-life balance in my former career, and my hobbies at that time were very much dog-related. I have a 9-year-old husky. We're involved with her, do a lot of hiking, do a lot of work at Seattle Humane just across the highway here.
Yeah.
And now was able to kind of merge that into my career. But I'm not doing that. I'm into sports. I am a Yankee fan. Don't hold that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's better than a
Bullets
Mariners
aside.
fan. Trust me. Awesome. Well, we like each guest that comes on here because it's a show about homes. We're kind of melding the homes and community. So tell us a little bit about the home that you grew up in and some fond memory that you have, because that's a strong part of our show.
Sure, thanks. I'm from Congers, New York, which is actually a suburb of New York City. Born and raised there. It's very much a typical small town, a commuter town. My parents' generation would have all moved up there from the city and kind of started the growth up there. So it's a lot of, one-family houses, small community. Everybody knows each other. Everybody's doors were open. Everybody, we used to dial the last 4 numbers of our phone number to call our friends. And it really was an amazing place to grow up in. My parents are still there in the house I grew up, as are a lot of my friends, my sister and her family. So it's just really like small town USA, about a half an hour north of Manhattan.
Wow, that's awesome.
So when did your passion for working with dogs begin?
Well, my passion actually started just really with all animals, love of animals as a child, as many of us started out. I had rabbits, I had ferrets, I had everything but a dog. And finally, I don't remember how it happened, but when I was about 12 years old, my parents broke down and we got our first family dog, Casey. He was a Shetland sheepdog. And that's when I really started to get into dogs and learn more about them.
So how did that kind of passion turn into being a formal dog trainer?
Well, it's probably one of the longest transitions out there, but it took many, many years later, after I had graduated college and gotten married. My wife and I got a husky, Kaya, who's still with us, about 10 years ago, and a combination of taking her through the various stages of training, puppy classes and then adult classes, canine good citizenship, all along while working at or volunteering at shelters, first in New York and now here at Seattle Humane. Started to kind of bring the love of dogs with the training and the behavior side, and that's where it started to kind of come together for me, and the light bulb started to kind of go off.
Awesome.
There seems to be a lot of different methods for training a dog out there. What's your preferred approach to dog training?
Well, ironically, or maybe not ironically, it's the same methods that I used to use in my former career in corporate America, where I was doing a lot of sales and customer service leadership. So it was all about positive reinforcement and coming after really building that foundation of trust and communication with the people you're working with. Once you have that and you focus on rewarding the behaviors that you like and not so much worrying about the behaviors you don't, you start to get people and animals that really want to perform and want to work on their behavior.
So, John, were you positively reinforcing people in corporate America with treats? Are you doing that?
I wasn't using treats. I think it was a lot. It was a lot more kind of attaboys and things like that. It's really getting to know them on a personal level, I think, was the big thing.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Treat.
Oh, is it me? Yes, it is.
it's
Oh,
you.
yeah. I had a question. So, so tell us more about the power of choice and what does that mean?
Sure. So, I mean, there's dog training has evolved a lot over the last 25 years and more so over the last 5 years. And there's a lot of talk right now in the dog training field about choice and consent. And really what it's about is taking dog training from what it used to be, which was about a lot of commands and barking, pun intended, commands at a dog, and making it more of a two-way conversation. And what that really means is being able to read and understand your dog so that you can take information in, understand what they're trying to tell us with their body language, because that's really where the magic happens. As people, our primary way of communicating out is what we're doing today, right?
Verbal.
It's
Right.
verbal.
Yeah.
Dogs, it's all visual. They're always looking at our body language. They're hearing us, but it's always secondary.
So when Nacho, who's my puppy, is over on the other side of the yard and Taco has already come because I said, Taco, Nacho, come. And he's just like, you see how I'm looking at you now?
Right.
Like
Is that
those listeners
come
out
here
there.
command?
Yeah. No, the not come is him
Oh, yeah.
like,
Oh, what?
it's almost like a blank look on his face and a little snot, But anyways, but I can see that he's kind of saying, well, I'm kind of okay right here. I'm not sure that what you have over there is good.
That's you kind of hit on two things. They can't see us, but you're staring directly at me. So while you're telling him to come, staring directly at a dog is actually telling him not to come. So he's looking at your body language facing him. And for dogs, that means let's stay where we are. Let's not approach. And the second part to your point where you said there's something you don't have something better for me. All behavior is driven by consequences. So if Nacho, was it Nacho or Taco? Nacho. Great names, by the way. If he's happier and he's getting more satisfaction out of sniffing the leaves where he is versus what you have reinforced him in the past when he comes to you, that's what he's going to choose to do.
That's free advice. That's
Well,
good.
there you go.
It is really funny because I think that you can kind of look through their eyes and you're kind of like, what labs are very like, man, they just react. They're like, but he's got that Great Dane in him, and I think he's a little more contemplative.
So I have a dog by default. My youngest son is a wildland firefighter, and so while he's off fighting fires, we have Samba. I am amazed how smart dogs are. I mean, this dog, he's a border collie lab mix, so he's super smart and super compliant. And
You've got a good mix there.
Oh my! I mean, I just can't believe how smart they are sometimes. But anyway, having said that, when did you first learn about giving dogs choices? That seems kind of, non-intuitive to me. But tell us about that.
Yeah, it's not maybe as literal as it may sound. It's really just about the communication piece and just understanding that if we're asking a dog to do something and they're not doing it, they may have given us some signals prior to why they're not. There might be something in the environment. It might be that we're being confusing to them. We might be talking to them and showing them something else with our body. So it's really just started to learn from a lot of the leaders in the industry. We've got some of the best ones in the country right here in our backyard. Ken Ramirez down in Graham, Washington runs the Karen Pryor Academy National Training Center, and some others. So started to learn from some of the best in the world that happen to be located right here in the Seattle area. So seminars, in-person trainings, and things like that.
Yeah, as an adult, when I first decided to get my first dog, I went up to a place in Woodinville, Gentle Touch, I think it was called. So it was like I kind of already knew I didn't want to do the kind where it's like, here, do this, do that. It was a little bit more like what your philosophy is. What's the most important component for training a well-mannered dog?
Well, it's really two things. So it's consistency, but before consistency, it's really being a great observer, which I've touched on a couple times. So if you can learn to read body language, and you don't have to be an expert at this, there's signs that dogs are giving out to us all the time that are contradicting what we think is going on in their head. So it's understanding a little bit about the body language, being able to read them, and then it's all about consistency. So especially if you're in a house with a full family, and if one person is asking the dog to, jump up on the chair and the other person isn't, is telling the dog to keep off the chair, what's the dog to think? Well, sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, so maybe I'll give it a whirl. They thrive in consistency.
What are the most common reasons clients reach out to you for help?
Well, I'm happy to say now, different than when I had gotten that first dog, Casey, when I was about 13, is puppy classes, really. People really understand that, especially in the Pacific Northwest. The importance of really, we say that it's like vaccinating your dog against future behavior down the road. Just like they go to the vet to get their shots, what they learn in that first, say, up to 12 to 14 weeks, there's some ambiguity there, but that's when they're imprinted with, how their behavior is going to develop from there, good or bad.
Who gets more training, the people or the dog?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's really people. It's people. I don't know if you've read anything on my website, but it's people training for dogs. It really is. It's gotta be a partnership.
It really does. And I like what you have to say about the household there. It's got to be a consistent command and it's consistent reading from all family members. So yeah.
Sure.
So how do you stop a dog from doing something that you don't want it to do?
Well, you teach the dog to do something else you'd prefer, right? So anytime a dog is choices, it's saying, we call it unwanted behaviors versus bad behaviors, because for the dog it's working, right? They're jumping up on somebody, they're getting attention. So it's about understanding their motivation behind it, and it's showing them something else. So instead of jumping up on a person who comes into the house, maybe we'll show them how to go lay on their bed and grab their toy so that the person can approach them.
What would you recommend that a family focus on when adding a puppy to the home?
Well, the number one thing, as I touched on a little bit earlier, is really just that first 12 to 14 weeks. It's critical is to get the puppy exposed to a lot of different experiences. So it's different types of people, different types of clothing, different environments, surfaces. It's really focusing on future-proofing the puppy's behavior. You can teach a dog, you can teach an old dog new tricks. So a dog at any age can learn how to do something, but it's critical when they're young to really get positive associations with everything they're going to run into down the road.
Yeah. So let's talk about Floyd. I mean, how bad of a client is Floyd, really?
Are you putting me on the spot here right now?
Right.
Who's Floyd?
Floyd is Gabby's dog.
Oh.
Gabby is a peer, works at Keller
Right.
Williams. And
Yep.
Floyd is an amazing dog, and he came from Seattle Humane across the street here. So he's very lucky to be with Gabby, and they're very lucky to have him.
Yeah. She just absolutely raves about, oh, he did this today and he did that.
Nice.
I guess so.
Super dog.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how can somebody get in contact with you, John?
Well, the easiest way is to visit the website, which is www.dogsmartseattle, all one word, .com, where you can find me on Facebook or Instagram, also DogSmart Seattle.
Okay, awesome.
John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been a blast.
After the break, we have in studio the founder of House and Hound Inc., Amy Jean. We will be learning about her Best of 425 magazine dog sitting and house cleaning business. Please come back after the break. We'll be right back.
Not sure if now is the right time to sell? Worried you missed the market? The Eastside Real Estate Team specializes in helping homeowners maximize their equity when selling. With our proven premier listing service, our clients have sold their homes for more money in less time than the competition. We know you have many choices when working with a real estate agent, but with the Eastside Real Estate Team, you get a team of highly qualified, experienced agents. From staging to deciding if your property is market ready for top dollar. If you're considering selling, call the Eastside Real Estate Team at 425-200-4093 or check out our website at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Are your dog's behaviors not quite what you'd like them to be? You're not alone. DogSmart is committed to helping families just like yours learn ways to communicate with your dog so that both ends of the leash are working as one. They've helped countless families on Seattle's East Side and beyond. Don't waste another moment. Reach out today. To learn more about how DogSmart can help or to schedule a time to meet, visit their website at dogsmartseattle.com or call 1-833-DOGSMART today.
Make us part of your daily routine. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan.
Our next guest is Amy Gilchrist of House and Hound Inc., recently featured on the Best of 425 magazine. A frenzy of house cleaning and pet care services is already in existence, but Amy Gilchrist of House and Hound in Woodinville decided to combine the two so busy pet owners could come home to a clean house and a happy pup. Jean, whose family bred Basenjis, I'm not familiar with that one, Basenjis, whose family bred Basenjis and who spent her youth showing dogs in the American Kennel Club circuit, decided to leave her career as a criminal lawyer and return to her roots working with dogs. Jean noticed a need in the market and decided to fill it with House and Hound, which currently serves the East Side and Greater Seattle area with a 5-member team. Welcome to the show, Jean. Thanks for coming in.
And thank you. And just wanted to clarify, I do use my last name's Gilchrist, so my name is Amy Jean Gilchrist.
Yeah,
Got
it's
it.
funny
We
because
figured
I
it out.
copied this from the website,
No
so I'm
worries.
looking at this. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
what?
no! So it's Amy Gilchrist.
Yes,
Amy Gilchrist.
and my name Jean is my middle name, and after my father and my aunt and everyone else in my family. But I tend
So it's like when you're in trouble, like Amy Jean.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. And I
So-
put it on my cards as well because Gilchrist is just too long of a name and all that good stuff. So anyway, I know it can be confusing, but Amy Gilchrist, Amy Jean Gilchrist. And
All right.
yes.
Well, there you
So
go.
thank you for having me, you guys. I appreciate it.
We're happy to have you.
Loads of fun.
So when you're not cleaning or playing with dogs, what do you do with your free time?
Free time. Woo! I enjoy it.
Well, there you go.
Well, most of the time I am actually with dogs because I do enjoy them around me all the time. It really is truly a passion that I have. And but when I'm completely not with dogs, because of course, unfortunately, we can't take them everywhere with us, which I wish we could.
I
Maybe
saw
in
your
the
text.
near future.
I saw your text before here. I was like, oh, whoops.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I do have a dog in the car right now.
Oh.
little Riley, he's having fun. But I really enjoy just being able to disconnect and take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't take care of yourself first, you can't take care of other people, and you can't take care of your clients.
Yeah.
So
True.
I love hiking in the Quinault rainforest, for example. There's
Okay.
beautiful trees out there.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
huge, beautiful, and then I will
Lake
maybe-
Ozette, right?
Lake Quinault.
Quinault.
Yeah,
Ozette
but it's
is-
hard not to take a dog with you.
Yeah. Oh, you're not allowed to.
You are.
Oh.
Throughout those woods. You can.
You can.
Absolutely.
Oh, of course, then.
And it's beautiful.
Actually, I think I took my first dog on a hike on the Pacific Coast Trail. So it starts there and goes all the way down. So it was like a 30-miler.
oh, it's beautiful.
She
there.
had a blast.
Oh, it's great. It's wonderful. And so I love to do that. But I love hot yoga, and we can't have dogs in there. But I tend to do that a lot just throughout the week, just to kind of.
That's about
get-
taking care of yourself, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
absolutely. And diving and skiing is one of my passions as well.
Scuba diving?
Scuba diving.
Nice.
No dogs down there, that's for sure. maybe some dogfish, but
Oh,
you go.
funny.
So this is a show about homes.
yes.
And we like to ask our guests to tell us about fond memory growing up. Where'd you grow up, and tell us about the house you grew up in.
Well, I actually am a Seattle native. So
Cool.
I have I'm going to say a couple houses because my grandfather lived in a house here, and he had everything from ferrets to parrots.
Wow.
And he brought in every stray cat and every stray dog from the neighborhood that you could find. We even had 2 lab rats, Slim and Mo were their
Slim
names.
and
I'll
Mo.
never forget them. So I've always been around animals. And so some of my fond memories are just being down in his basement with a huge pool table that he had. Back then they had the really cool ones, and with a bunch of animals around, and then just always being able to be around the, even my neighbor had 14 cats. Her name was
Wow.
Betty. Every day she'd say, okay, what are the cats' names? Oh, Betty, I don't know. I'm 4 years old. So just those memories with a lot of animals. And also in my own family home, we had a pool. So I loved swimming and just having my family around there.
Well, I think that one advantage, right, to home ownership is to have animals.
Right.
Correct.
If you're renting, that's a
That's a
tough
tough
thing
one.
to do. Yeah.
You definitely can't have ferrets.
No.
Unless you're one of those people.
Yeah, I was just thinking about a ferret story from a house I listed
Yeah?
that we were talking about. Dan and I were talking about home prep today.
Oh
Yeah,
my
about
gosh.
$5,000 of repairs from
Oh my gosh.
Oh, boy.
ferrets in the walls. That was
In the
fun.
walls?
Oh,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, what does House and Hound do?
Well, we make sure your home and your dogs, your fur babies, are taken care of. Primarily when you go on vacation. So when you're going to go off on like, say, a week break, I like to come in and take care of your dog, make sure that they're fed, played with, cuddle time, and they're never by themselves, except for when I'm on radio shows. And then, and then also just having a nice, clean home when you come home. A lot of people are just ecstatic when they come home to a happy pup and a clean home.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I still do boarding as well, away from their home if that's what they want as well. So I'm very versatile. But you get the one-on-one care for your dog instead of putting them in kind of a doggy daycare boarding facility for a week, which is really difficult for dogs.
Yeah.
So
Well, they're in there, and as John mentioned, they like normalcy, right? They like to, my dogs get up at a certain time, dinner's at a certain time. They like to have that
Routine.
So coming into the pet owner's home helps keep that routine, keeps it like that. So what inspired you to get into this kind of a business?
So I was miserable practicing law. Surprise, surprise. How many lawyers are out there that are miserable? But it was just, yeah, I can feel ears burning around the globe. But I hated it. My mom got sick with ovarian cancer, and it didn't take long to take her, about a year and a half. And we were always in the dog community, American Kennel Club, the Evergreen Basenji Club. We had raised Basenjis, and we had just a very tight-knit group full of the breeding community around us. And I showed dogs. I know a lot about the different dog breeds and how they are. And I just said to my mom, I will continue to be around dogs, and that's the way I'm going to remember you.
Wow.
And our dog was on the bed with her when she died. And she knew it. The dog knew what was going on. It wouldn't even leave her side. And so they are really part of our family.
It's
And
kind of your mom's legacy.
my mom's legacy. And
That's
she would be so proud of me right now because I've done so
awesome.
much with this. And I'm actually happy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And that's what we need in life, is to be happy. That we're here to create joy. We're here to create happiness in our lives. That's what we're here to create in this lifetime. We're not here to do something that makes us unhappy.
Definitely.
You know, I was just thinking about my comment earlier about how smart they are and your comment about the dog and your mom. I read a story recently a veterinarian wrote about, you know, when it's time to have a dog put down, and that what she wrote was how their humans should stay with them, that they always look around the room for their humans, and they know what's going on. And she was just like, you know, just encouraging people, stay, even though it's hard, stay with them. And, you know, I can see that in that, you know, how very smart, how very connected they are. So anyway, it just made me think of that when you mentioned the other side of that equation.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
an awesome, I think it's a great opportunity, right, to have them in our lives, to bring balance to, you know, after a long, busy day, you know, somebody popping up in your lap or, you know, coming alongside you that just basically has nothing except for food. I mean, that's really the only thing that really...
Yeah, I like getting home and having this dog, 7-year-old dog, just bouncing in the driveway.
Yeah.
He sees me and just lights up. It's just amazing.
Well, there are more dogs than kids in Seattle.
Really?
Is that right?
Yes.
Interesting.
Whoa.
And so they really are a huge part of the family.
Definitely.
And so you want to come home to a happy, healthy dog after a vacation, for
Right.
example.
Definitely.
So how do your services work?
So we also do a subscription service for housekeeping, like a monthly subscription service that also includes us dropping in and playing with your dog as well. So if you're, you know, a career person and you're going to be gone for a lot of people are gone for 8 to 10 hours a day. They like someone to come in and drop in and say, hey, you know, what's up for an hour and a half? Take them on a walk, give them playtime cuddle, maybe do a feeding. And also we offer dog walking subscription service. Within that subscription, and also the dog boarding and the house sitting. So the dog boarding and the house sitting are kind of two different things, because I offer boarding at my place, and then I can go to your house and sit, or and then also the subscription for the housekeeping.
Yeah.
So why is it that you found that pet owners have valued the services that you've offered?
Well, it creates just that nice home feel for the dog. It's not the dog's not stressed out. Wondering what's going on, you know, with 50 other dogs that all of a sudden they're playing with for a week when their, baby fur parents are on vacation. And then their dog just kind of goes home and they're shaking and they're nervous and they don't understand what's going on. I've seen that a lot.
Huh.
So we like to minimize that. And like, our dog trainers say, they like to have, just things that are more, consistent.
Yeah.
Consistent. I like consistency, especially puppies.
Yeah.
You don't want a puppy in a doggy daycare for a month or 2 weeks or something like that.
Right.
What's the biggest challenge you've faced in your business?
What kind of breed do I like the best?
Oh, that's your biggest
And
challenge.
second challenge is giving the dog back when they get home.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, honey.
Because they're so. I had I sat a golden retriever puppy for 2 months.
Oh.
Yeah, their owners went to New York for
Adorable.
work,
That's
and
your dog.
they kept on extending because they couldn't come back. And I swear that dog, oh my gosh, it was so hard.
Yeah, I can
bet.
only imagine. You guys have formed a relationship in
We
2
did.
months.
I
Oh
know.
my gosh! So talk about breeds. I mean, you accept any and all breeds.
Yes.
You're welcome to do that.
Of course.
But you do have some favorites.
We got to ask, favorite breed?
Oh, I love Great Danes. Oh, cutest puppies you've ever seen. And I actually had someone abandon their 4-week-old puppy with me, and I had to rehome her. And I didn't really know much about that particular breed when I got her, and I just love them. They are just the greatest dogs.
So let me tell you the story about how Nacho came to our house. So we were looking for another Border Collie lab mix, and so we went out there and looked in all the usual places. And we had bought one from a breeder over on the eastern side of the state. They didn't have any, so we found another private party that just happened to have a litter, right? So it was like, awesome, cool. And we were looking for a daughter because we would then have Taco and then Belle, right? So it would be Taco and Belle. But we couldn't find, it was just boys left. So we ended up taking the last boy and brought him home. And I was asking the owner, and I said, what are the mixes, right? Tell me about the mixes. She didn't answer. I'm like in transit. I'm like, I'll already take the last one. I'm gonna. And then she said, well, the mom is golden retriever and lab mix, and the dad may have some Great Dane in him.
Lord. Oh. So Nacho is not a Chihuahua?
No, he's not. And Taco and Nacho are not Chihuahuas. They are lab. It's it's pretty awesome. And he's got those big floppy ears and the jowls, and his eyes are amazing, like light brown, and then all black. Oh no, he's got some white patches here and there, so
Beautiful.
he's adorable.
Well,
yeah.
they're the sweetest dogs on the planet.
They really are.
They
think
sweet.
they're lap dogs. They think
They
they're
do.
tiny little lap dogs. They want to be right up in your face. It's pretty funny. I love them. So I'm glad we share that passion for Danes. I don't know if I would want a full-on Great Dane because they're big.
They're big.
They're big. And I live in a townhome, and I was contemplating keeping her. Apparently, they're really good apartment dogs.
Really?
Because they like to lay around, and you're supposed to not let them, run a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I was very inclined to keep her, but I just couldn't because I was leaving for Christmas for 2 weeks. I had to get her.
What's your coverage area?
So the greater Seattle area and the east side.
Okay.
I do have a couple of clients in Tacoma, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
And I do have a couple clients in Gold Bar. Don't ask.
Well, and I mean, I guess since you're doing the house sitting and it's vacation time, it's not all at the same time. But I guess if you were going to have to walk the dog in Tacoma and the one in Gold Bar, that might, in one day, that
might be
hard.
It's actually happened before.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you made it happen.
I absolutely did.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So how can people find you?
So www.houseandhoundinc.com. Also at House and Hound Inc. on Facebook. And my phone number, of course, is 206-930-3874. You can always contact me that way.
Say that again.
206-930-3874. And also, you can contact me online or any way that you wish to. Amy at houseandhoundinc.com. That's my email. Amy at houseandhoundinc.com. And that would go right to me. And then, of course, I do have, people helping me and a team of people as well. So.
Perfect.
Well, Amy, great job. I called Amy on Monday, and so she had a real short runway. And I just thank you so much for at last minute coming in and sharing your passion. John, thank you as well. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan at 1150 KKNW. And after the break, we'll have some more Real Talk. And, of course, Brian will have some great final thoughts.
Did you know when you pay rent, you're actually paying someone else's mortgage? Are you tired of missing out on owning your own home? Fact: homeowners on average have 40 times the financial net worth of renters. The Eastside Real Estate Team has been helping many first-time homebuyers find and buy their first home. They specialize in customer service and put you first. They listen first to what you're looking for, and then they take the time to make sure their clients understand every aspect of the home buying process. If owning a home has been your dream, the Eastside Real Estate Team can help you. For a free, no-hassle consultation, call 425-200-4093 or find them online at the eastsiderealestateteam.com, a subsidiary of Keller Williams Realty in Bellevue.
Wherever you go, Alternative Talk 1150 is here for you.
All right. Welcome back to Real Talk with Brian and Dan. I am Dan.
And I'm Brian.
Well, that was fun. And during the break, I showed, pictures of Nacho. And if you want to, we'll go ahead and post them to our Instagram. Oh, by the way, do you guys have Instagram accounts? Okay. Why don't you tell the listeners what they are real quick? So, John, go ahead.
It's at DogSmart Seattle.
At DogSmart Seattle. Yep. Okay. Amy Jean.
And you're funny. It's at House and Hound. Let's see. This is the funny part is I am a terrible Instagrammer. At House and Hound. Let's see. You put me on the spot this time.
I know. Sorry about
House
that.
And Hound. No, House and Hound Inc.
House and Hound. So it's at House and Hound H-O-U-S-E-A-N-D-H-O-U-N-D-I-N-C.
Yeah, HOUSEANDHOUNDINC.
Awesome. So you guys can go, all listeners can check out the fun pictures. I'll send and tag a picture of Nacho and Taco in there so everybody can see the
There you go.
fantastic dogs. So final thoughts, Brian.
So, Amy, did you hear about the lawyer that got their real estate license?
I smell a joke.
Yes, you do. It's so they could kill their own deals. No, we have terrific lawyers we work with, but
I feel sorry for
there's
them.
always, stress on the realtor's side sometimes when they jump in the middle, which is fine.
No one likes
Clients
that.
should always consult a lawyer when they feel they should.
So, Brian, I heard on the radio this morning, I think it was, they talked, there are always news organizations that will produce housing reports, and I think it's important to discuss them because of what they mean. But they were talking about new construction starts and permits.
Right. Okay.
And what they said is new housing starts were down.
Interesting.
But permits were up.
Well, that means there'll be more new housing starts.
Right.
Because permits aren't free. They're buying those.
And new housing starts down. It kind of makes sense, right? Because if you think about the timing of the market, maybe they're deciding not to do a bunch of building in the wintertime.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, in certain areas, because these are national numbers.
Yeah.
The other one, I think you sent me an article about Fannie Mae's projections.
Okay.
Did you read it?
Probably. I don't recall which article you're talking about. I read
yesterday. Okay, it was talking about what's coming up with rates and the pace.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't read it either.
Pretty stable.
I just read the headline.
No, they're talking about, nobody's got a crystal ball, but rates being fairly stable. So it is a good time to get out there and find that dream home.
It's predicting a pretty busy season.
Right.
Yeah. So, so after kind of looking over some of the numbers and talking about, renting versus owning, I think it's important to kind of just say at the end of the day, it's about community, right?
Right.
So you're picking out a home. Is it a good investment? Are you picking out a place to live? Yes, you are. But what you are picking is the community and getting out and visiting the community, trying out, find out what the local schools are like, find out what the local, arterial get-arounds are. How do you get from one place to another? I've got some clients that we've gone and looked at houses together. That's what we do. But also they've done a whole ton of driving, and they were like, hey, we just want to really drive around. We want to get a feel for Fall City or North Bend or Snoqualmie and all these areas. You just really have to get comfortable with it. What are some of your best tricks for people to get comfortable with a neighborhood?
Well, I always tell people, drive before you buy. Drive it at the time you think would be your commute time. But also, we have tools. I can tell you what the drive times are from any point, anywhere, anytime, using some of the online tools that we have through Northwest Multiple Listing Service. I don't know if you've used the INRIX feature, Dan.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, pretty cool. But I have clients, I mentioned this in a previous show, looking for homes differently than they used to. It used to be people would pick a neighborhood, and now I have, this is especially with my millennials, saying, hey, I want to be within 40 minutes of Amazon. And so I can map that and show you what neighborhoods.
Yeah, it's not as circuitous as you might think. It's more polygon. It's
Right.
kind of going all over the place. It may take you longer to get to a backside, but also finding parks.
Finding
Where are you going to walk your dog?
I have I've had clients that have mapped every Starbucks
Really?
to know how far. Oh, and Trader Joe's. I'm not buying that neighborhood. It's too far to Trader Joe's.
Too far to Trader Joe's.
No. You buy what gives you joy.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, let's see. So coming up, we have this next week in Alki. So Alki is West Seattle, yeah, right?
Right.
So Alki has an arts fair going from July 27th to 28th. You don't want to miss out on this. It's an arts fair music festival, colorful views while strolling the promenade as you eat and shop. Oops, I missed my page. Eat and shop amongst the expansive lineup of artists, makers, and performers. Celebrate vibrancy and diversity of West Seattle local arts and culture. There's going to be over 100 artists and makers, live music, street food, interactive, kid zone, and if you ever want to have fun, it's a good place to kayak.
Oh, nice!
Yeah, off the
and beachcomb, hit the beach,
and watch your dogs.
Watch for dogs.
There
Scuba
you go.
dive. You can scuba dive there off Alki. Yeah.
So I ran across an interesting home this week. It's in Bothell. It's a mid-century modern on a lot about 3 times bigger than anything else in the area. And so if anybody looking for something, there's a real, it's interesting to me, a following for, I assume people would step in and remodel. A lot of people don't. They love that. They love that. It's like,
so what defines a mid-century modern?
It's not updated. 1950s home that's not updated. But it looks like, it's like a gem. It looks like you could film a Brady Bunch there or something like that.
Does it have like those pea green colors and
Yeah,
the chocolate
yeah.
brown and the orange,
Oh,
and like the
gosh,
burnt
yeah.
orange and stuff?
They
Aren't
got
those coming back into
pink-
style?
Pink
I think they are.
yeah, bathtub and the whole 9 yards. So I've got to do a quick shout out. I got the grandkids in town this week. So Quinn and Jonah, if you're listening, love you guys.
Yeah, right
I
on.
missed that.
Yeah, I got to see him this weekend, and when
Yeah,
we
they
were
were
celebrating
wearing me out.
Brian's birthday.
Yep, that was
Yeah.
fun.
Happy birthday, Brian.
29 again?
Yeah, 29 again.
right?
Yeah, we had a pig roast and all our friends over. It was
Yeah.
it was fun.
It was a good
It was a lot
time.
of fun.
Well, that concludes our show. I just again want to thank both John and Amy Jean. Sorry,
Amy Jean Gilchrist.
Thanks, Mom.
Gilchrist. Yeah, I
You're
just
not in
love-
trouble this time.
Thanks for coming in. We appreciate your input. We appreciate bringing you to the community, and we want to thank everybody out there listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan. We'll talk to you next week.
Next week.